All right, perfect. Well, we'll get started. Welcome everybody to the August 17th Historic Preservation Board meeting of the Village of Pittsburgh. We have four board members in attendance tonight, which is nice. I think everyone kind of knows throughout the village that we've been struggling a little bit, but we do have a new board member tonight, Rabia. So welcome Rabia to her first meeting. We'll work through everything and give us a little patience if we need a few explanations, but the other the three of us have been here for a little bit of time, and we'll be able to get through each application in a reasonable amount of time as well. We have 9 applications on the board on the agenda tonight. One of them's been moved to September. But like I said, we'll get through the rest of them in a reasonable amount of time. So first thing to do is open the meeting. Do we have a motion to open the meeting? Motion to open the meeting. Thank you.
Second.
Thank you.
Member Stevenson? Yes. Yes, thank you. Member McRae? Yes. Member Root?
Yes.
Chair Olson?
Yes.
Motion passes. Now that we've opened the meeting, I will say that 32 South Main Street has also asked to defer to next month.
Okay. And before we have our first application, does any of the board members need to recuse themselves from any of the applications listed on the agenda tonight?
No.
No. No. Okay, thank you. All right, then we'll start with 18 State Street for signage. You can come up and we'll get a chair for you, sorry. Thank you.
I'm Jeff Ashland with Kenny National Bank.
Nice to meet you.
Tonight, looking for approval for some exterior building mounted signs, as well as some drive-through signage.
Perfect.
So then we had a chance to look at the package that was involved. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for it. It was very detailed. Appreciate that. I'm wondering what the best way to go through it is. Is it, yeah, we could do sign by sign. Listed it out really nice for us, B1 wall, B2, B3, C4, and D3 freestandings. I think you guys are outside of the design, we're really just looking at size and scale. We're not really doing anything with any of the labels that you selected or verbiage. It all meets everything there.
Okay.
Everything required. I think the only one that caught my eye was, I believe it has is the B2 wall. It's 3 feet 6 inches by 3 feet 6 inches, is a square block. Compared to what's there, it's much larger. And compared to what's there, it doesn't, I don't see it hiding into the wall as well. I see it kind of being a little bit larger. Is there any way you would be able to make that one proportionately smaller or to match the existing?
What if we took it down to 3 foot diameter, so 12 inches overall?
So I think where it is right now, it's 26 inches high and 37 inches wide. You want to match that?
I can't match it because it's a circle. The other one was an oval.
Okay,
So I can get.
but the dimensions are square. You can get close to it.
Yeah, we can definitely do that. And we're okay with it coming down the wall a little bit. I mean, where it was.
Yeah, it was a little hidden.
Yeah.
But with it coming down and then being bigger, it's very large
Okay.
from
Yeah, we're open.
from comparatively.
In general, it seemed like a number of the signs were like nice wood signs that had some depth to the lettering on it. And then I was just wondering with this, is this going to be just flat sheet of aluminum?
It's a flat, the red is a flat aluminum backer
Yeah.
with projected, so 3-dimensional letters, non-illuminated letters.
And that's the acrylic.
Well, sorry,
That's the acrylic portion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but I am talking to our installer right now. as I was walking around the neighborhoods and I looking at some other, so like carved wood, and I know ours is too. Again, we're trying to move into a modern look, which is why we kind of rebranded.
Yeah.
But I also understand where we are too, so I've talked to them, they're able to do the routing. So I might even do the invoice, if I can get a backer with some inset letter, kind of like what we're doing now, and what the ESL does. Would you be open to that as well?
Yeah,
Would I need to come back in for a new application?
and that is only on the front
Just on the beach.
B1. B1. Yeah, Jim, I mean, I don't see anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
So it would be wood and it would be
Yeah.
routed out back.
Yeah, so.
Back routed?
Yeah, now, see in the. In the left photo,
Mm-hmm,
so the gold is a recessed
mm-hmm,
chiseled in.
yeah,
And I know the SL across the street is very similar. We're looking at potentially doing the same thing as what we have now, only the new color scheme.
okay.
That's cool. So would we write that was like a stipulation in the findings?
Yeah, we will, and in the motion to approve it, yeah. Yeah. Would that be a wood material? Or acrylic?
It would be in the wood.
It would be wood, okay. Yeah,
Again, they
we'll
gave me-
work it into it,
They give
yeah.
me a quick verbal tonight, but I think we can do that and it's the right thing to do.
Then also had a question about, let's see, which ones are these, C1 and C2? So those look like those are lit signs.
Yep.
Um. Let's see. So in the design standards, it talks about internally illuminated,
They've removed the lit signs from there.
those are removed.
They were supposed to, the last time I talked to them, they removed the lit signs.
They called me about those, it made out of me because this was submitted so
Okay.
Long ago,
yeah, but I paid to take it out. So we're not applying for those anymore.
Oh, okay. You'll just keep them on the same design style, that's in the packet
We're
with an
ready.
18.
We're not changing anything back there.
Oh, you aren't, you'll just say whatever's
I
already
think
there,
there's a red light, green light.
okay.
I think that's all there is now. Yeah, on the red thing. It's on sheet 8. So we'll just keep the placard sign with the white and vinyl graphics. Graphics.
That one,
Yeah.
and then this.
Yep.
Yeah.
The question. In the village code, it says something about, let's see. Shall not exceed 1 square foot per linear foot of building frontage. And in no case shall it be greater than 30 square feet. There is one sign on the front that's 32 square feet. Can that be reduced?
So the is a 1 square foot per linear front foot of frontage, right?
Yeah.
But not to exceed 30,
Not to exceed 30 square
and
feet.
we'll drop that down to 29.99 square feet. How's that?
Perfect. Thank you, Jim.
That's the B1 sign. On the front.
Mm-hmm. And it looks like it's just a height increase of 6 inches compared to what's already there.
Yeah, it has to do with once you, I mean, it's all relative, once the logo goes up, the letters go up, and it's more.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, but we can look to bring that down to meet the 30 square feet.
All right. all I could find. That's all I can find for concerns.
One. Things there. And then what do we want to call it? You want to just call it 36 by 36 on the sidewall?
Yeah. that'd be
Okay.
great.
Any other questions or comments? Jim?
No, I
Okay.
think it should look pretty.
So I'll make a motion. Go ahead.
One order was, I didn't realize that rather than short sworn in, so I've got to do that before she can vote.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, that was very calm.
You guys can vote, it's unanimous, doesn't it?
Yeah. I feel like you gotta get out of here.
I go in Canada, 3-3. So we're running lots.
Oh, where's your location on Main Street? Yeah.
Yeah, they re-voted because the gentleman that said no, he explained why he said no, and then he conceded on. The right on, and re-voted, it was fine.
Good.
There'll just be a second.
Thanks, Alexandra.
So if it does pass, we'll come back with a updated package. based
No,
on-
we'll just work it into approval. Yeah. And then, if it passes, then you'll get with Steve for a certificate of appropriateness. He'll issue to see that. All right, so I'll make a motion to, approve the application with the following changes. That, the B1 wall sign, does not exceed 30 square feet. And that the B1 wall sign also can be a wood material with the same color and design logo. And whether that wants to be routed or pressed would be appropriate. We'll also make the following changes to the B2 signage. So that it is 3 feet by 3 feet or 36 by 36 inches. And that we're not taking into consideration the ATM signage, they're being removed from the application. The lit ATM signages in C1 and C2. And as well as I think that's it, just C1 and C2. Yep. There's no issues with C3 or D3. This is on the interior or V1 or V2.
Second,
Member McRae,
Yes.
member Stevenson. Yes. Member Root,
yes.
Chair Olson,
Yes,
motion passes.
Thank you.
awesome, thank you. I can look at that, just look at this, so that's now here. And it was here from this one, and just music will just. All right, so next up, we have 66 Monroe Avenue for a water feature.
Well,
How you doing? Good to see you.
good to see you too. Phase two,
Yep,
so we have the river going from the fountain, which is up there right now, so we put that up 2 years ago. And I'm still working on all the comments with Steve Rose, and he talked to Kevin up at the canal Buffalo office.
okay,
But it looks like everything is good as far as the Army Corps of Engineer, DEC, Historic Society, nice CE 200. For the I guess of the insurance or some of those things, and those one needed.
okay,
And so we're gonna have all the final the stamp of approval, although he said everything looks good, we're just gonna get it through, but he didn't, he's not on, he didn't go. I don't think, right? And so, he talked to, Steve, and Steve had applied one more thing, which is duplicating my application. And so, hopefully everything will go smoothly. It won't be this year though.
Okay,
It's probably gonna be pushed off till May, and it's probably a blessing with all the rain we've had.
yeah,
It would have been a mess. So hopefully next year will be a drier year, and we'll probably shoot for in May.
Okay. So that was really my main question is how do we approach this? And where are you in your project? So it seems like you've been in a lot of contact with the Canal Corp and Steve.
You know,
and
but
everybody
also
this week. Okay. So we're just considering style and material and location. Okay. And then if we vote on it and it passes, then you have 12 months or 24 months? What is it?
Well,
12 months?
Right,
Okay.
I'm gonna be within the 12 months, it's no problem.
Okay. Okay. Was anyone here when we did the fountain?
Fine.
First, it's nice fountain.
So,
That was 2 years ago or 3 years ago?
yeah. And I can't tell you the number of people that just come and sit there.
Really? Good.
Yeah, I had one woman who shopped at Talbot so much that she said. Her father said, I'm gonna throw her ashes. It's really fun.
We shopped at your store too.
No, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it creates a complex setting there and that, and what was just a
Yeah.
vacant
Yeah,
strip, you
so
know?
I've had fun picking it up a little bit.
The stones are gorgeous, they're wonderful stone.
Yeah, it's really neat.
I love the mix.
Thank you, thank you. I've been making waterfalls like for about 60 years. Side, not a professional course. I don't want to look professional.
so does this gonna run continually?
The what?
Will this run continually? Like,
Oh,
you'll
it'll
it
it'll
up?
run during the day, it's just like my main fountain turns on at about 8 o'clock and then shuts off at about 8. So this will be the same thing, it'll run, so I'll have it on a timer. And what it does is it takes water out of the canal, pumps it up to the top, it's separate from the fountain now. So it's gonna come up and then run back down the canal. So you have basically a underlayment and then the vinyl layer with the rocks on top of that and everything, so that everything comes up, everything goes back in.
Okay.
More concrete, all dry set.
Okay.
Just purely like for little,
There's
no
no
good.
waterfalls. When I met my wife, I told her I was gonna have a waterfall in my house, I have a waterfall in front of my house. In the house, and behind me.
I love it.
Another waterfall, well, do that area, I like water.
Don't you want?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any real questions. My questions were really on just if this is allowed and that's outside of our purview and what questions you had for us, but Steve, go ahead.
I had a question for Joe. Is the board allowed to do contingent approvals?
Yeah, I mean, it's, as long as it's not another village board we're waiting on,
That's what I thought. Okay.
and I don't think it has to be contingent. It's an approval if you can't get it, you know.
Right,
Then all through, that's all I know, not true.
I'm gonna get the.
I'm not gonna get it. I wouldn't need to doubt it.
I have a question, Richard. In looking at this, I feel like it's fairly unlimited. But with this fountain being so close to the actual parking lot,
Mhm.
is there any concern in the winter time with like roads all getting plowed into that and then getting pushed into the canal, do you think?
No.
Or is it the way this is?
In that area where the fountain, the plow comes and pulls it away from that. And then you have a separate, totally separate, football canal is all drained.
Mhm.
So the drains from the parking lot, there's actually a big catch basin that goes down into the canal and then one in the back also. So, I mean, small melt would probably go down, but it's not going in the river. The river's gonna be a separate entity, and it's only gonna be working in when the canal's up. Well, the canal's not full, it's dry.
It's very pretty. I haven't seen this.
Thank you.
Cool.
I don't have any other questions. You?
Did you motion?
Someone motion, but I don't have any more questions.
Motion to pass?
As submitted.
Correct.
I'll second it. You go.
Take Chair Olson second. Member Ruth,
Yes.
member McGray,
Yes.
member
Yes.
Stevenson, sorry. Chair Olson,
Yes.
motion passes.
Thank you so much.
Good luck.
Thank you so much.
Next year, we'll see you there.
All right, next up, we have 92 South Main Street.
Yeah,
How you doing? I'm well, how are you? You feel?
this for you guys, I don't believe it was in the packet.
Oh, okay.
I need copies of that, so we'll do you guys for the record, and then I'll give it to the boys. Thank you.
How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good,
And I want to thank you guys for the Urban Gas Can Award for 19.
absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Good work.
Yeah.
Was well deserved. Absolutely. How's this project going?
Good, we just wrapped it up, it turned out very nice.
Nice.
About a year, so,
Awesome.
yeah.
So what we'll do is, review the application, and go through it as a complete project. So, did everyone have a chance to read the note that Brett wrote to the village?
Yes.
Okay. So we're just looking to demolish this side entry.
Correct, so we purchased it, so it's an 1880s house. And over the past owner, turned it into a duplex at some point, I
Mhm.
believe it was approved. So when we purchased it, we were told we had to convert it back to a single family.
Yeah.
And then that wasn't part of turning it back into a single family, was removing that side entry.
Okay. So the only thing that we really consider in this is obviously it's the addition that was put on is not historically accurate by any means. But the one thing that we need to consider is it become a character defining feature of the home? We were just in a training where we talk about, okay, sure, it wasn't original to when was this house built originally? 1880. But if it's in this picture, which is the blueprints or the blue pages is what we call them. So it's been there for a while. These are probably like around 1975, I believe this was, or 1976.
Yeah.
So it's been there for a period of time where we as a preservation board need to consider if it has become a character defining feature of the home. All right.
So
And you go ahead.
the foundation is cobblestone and mortar,
Mhm.
so that entryway was just like blocked. That
Yeah.
was, needs to be not for.
And I personally, I don't think it is a character defining feature of the home. Say your house didn't have that porch on the front of it, but it was added in 1976. We would probably say, okay, that porch is now a character defining feature. Sure, it wasn't there in the late 1800s, but it has become part of the house. So I think that's the main thing we need to look at in this demolition and consider it as if that had become, oh my gosh, that is like, a part of the house that needs to be saved. I personally don't, but I'm just one person on the board.
I would second that assessment. I do not find a character finding it all. Looks like a obviously an ill-designed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if this were not approved, then we would require it to be put back
That's correct.
as it is.
But we don't have to take that, that's not for us to really take into consider into the application. We're taking into consideration the removal of this only.
Mhm.
And if you were to put the structure back and have that be an opening, it would make 0 sense from the inside of the home.
Yeah.
Because that's where the stairwell is that goes upstairs. So it would look really
Because the
odd.
house has been returned to its original single family.
Right. And you want to explain these pictures that we were just
Yeah.
given?
I'm having a copy myself, so.
Oh, this
Yeah,
is the
just some
foundations.
proof of, what it looks like from the inside versus the material that they use to, convert it to a double. And then there's just a close up here of the material that obviously is incongruent with the original foundation. And then this one of the house is what it looks like after the removal. And we used the exact same siding from that feature to put it back onto the house. But there wasn't any updates in regards to that as well.
Very good. I don't have any questions. Anybody else have any questions on this one?
No,
Probably.
My only point in the code, it says demolishing non-contributing addition that negatively affects property and neighborhood is an example of something that would be allowed to demolish, so
Perfect.
I think it's.
Then I'll make a motion to approve the demolition of this structure as presented in this application.
Second,
Member Stevenson?
Yes.
Member McRae?
yes.
Member Root?
yes.
Chair Olson?
Yes,
Motion passes.
awesome. Thank you.
Guys, have a good night.
Thank you. Yeah.
You know, yeah, they're really quick.
Ed.
One copy, I'm free.
Okay, next up, we have 1 Grove Street for windows. Hi. Are you Max?
Yes, I am.
Okay, nice to meet you.
So just to give you a little bit of background on the property, so we're one of the new owners, we just closed on it probably about a month ago or a month. There's an office on the second floor that vacated over.
Owners of this, of the entire pickle factory of all of 1 Grove or just this facility?
The
That's,
entire facility.
okay, okay,
So one of the units that's upstairs doesn't have any windows in it, it's an office, and we just want to add a 3D window. Basically, our plan is to use the exact same windows that are there, and just put 3 windows.
it's not 4 windows?
It's just three. I think we originally put 4 in there, but we ended up stealing the back of the store.
Okay,
And
all
it's all
right,
within the
that,
parking lot.
when I was looking in this one, there was 4.
Yes, it should only be 3.
Okay,
And I have a scale drawing if you guys can just do it.
The order that they're making, I think we're missing the things there. We've been having in front of them.
I have a question, you say. This is in. People practice symbols
no, it's still public way.
because of the road that wants to.
Parking lot, the parking lot behind it is considered public way.
Yeah. So the only questions I have on this one are the actual window material.
Yep.
And it's vinyl or PVC.
Yeah.
We've never approved that on our board, this style window, and you've mentioned a few times that it's the exact windows that are already
Yeah.
in that facility. Do you
Yeah.
have evidence of that or where that's been approved to use those windows? Because I doubt they would have been, this
I know that they.
rigid poly vinyl chloride
I
PVC.
know that they are vinyl windows, I just have pictures of showing it.
Okay,
I have the original style, I think it's Anderson 200 yellow lines.
okay. So can we use those
Yep,
instead of this double hung Pro 100?
yes, yep. So, and they're gonna be, it's also gonna be vinyl on the outside, and I think it might be wood on the inside, but it will still be vinyl on the exterior of it.
Okay, because what we really want to do is make sure that these windows look like they've been there.
Yep,
And this product, this window's not gonna look like it's been there
okay.
specifically. So
The plan is.
unless I'm reading the application wrong or if someone else has something to chime in on, I feel like we need to either make sure that we're getting in the exact same windows that are already there, or have evidence that, you know, it has been this exact window that's been approved, because I would go ahead and say I doubt that it's this EK Pro 100 vinyl window.
Okay.
And it's gonna come down to like reveals and thicknesses and how these would fit.
So
They would look, they would, yeah,
You mean they still make me this window, and I get the exact same window, then it's not.
that wouldn't be a problem, because then we know with fact that the windows that are already on the pickle factory and then are already there will match exactly and look like they've already been there. Or we don't want it to be like, wow, those are 3 brand new windows that don't look like
Yep.
anything else on.
So I can see if he can change it. I know that, I'm pretty sure that he said that he can find these. I mean, obviously, there's a pipe vendor for 30 years.
Yeah,
We can find something that's pretty much identical to that.
yeah. That's kind of what I would say is our best path forward.
No, within the code, it's pretty specific of vinyl windows remain short-lived material, rarely look appropriate, historic buildings.
Yeah.
And it does talk about how like clad windows, like the other ones you're seeing, it's a
Yeah.
wood core that's clad, and that's a better.
Yeah,
substitute.
yeah.
Agreed.
Say that one more time. So what should I be looking for?
You should,
Go ahead.
no, you should be looking for any evidence that you can find on the existing windows.
Yeah.
Like a make and model or material or whatever.
Yeah.
And then also, if you can't find that, whatever that manufacturer's making now that is as similar to it as possible.
Yeah.
But it's probably going to either be all wood or it's gonna be a wood-based with an aluminum cladding on the outside. But I really would say that it's probably not a vinyl material.
Okay.
And I could be absolutely wrong because I don't know the windows there.
Yeah.
But we could do a site visit and look at it.
Yep.
We could have Blake Helm come out and find the windows.
I'm not going to look at the outside, but
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I think these windows as presented, this Energy King windows and doors would be inaccurate to what you would want in this.
Okay.
Setting.
So can I just have them re-quote it and send the right window and then don't have to reapply and do it again next month or?
Well, not necessarily reapply, but yeah, it would be next month. Is there a project timeline that you're up against? Or-
Not necessarily, but
Just
like you
September
said,
what?
talk sooner.
Yeah. What's our September date? Probably the 21st.
Yeah, the 21st, so
Yeah,
if you're not pressed before then, he would be first on the agenda, the
Okay.
next one, actually, I think number 3, sorry, because we don't. But, yeah, he would still be on the agenda, you don't have to pay or redo anything.
Yeah.
Just submit new specifications to this.
Do I need us to submit the whole application again?
no, just the specifications of the
Oh, that's
window.
what's there now.
Yeah.
And what.
That's correct, yeah. And if you have any questions, you can call Steve or Steve can run it by me or
Okay.
I have an office, I work in an office on Grove Street too.
Okay. Perfect.
On 30 Grove, so I can stop over if you need help with that.
Okay.
But I'll make a motion to table this until the September meeting. With updated window information.
Second that motion?
Yes.
Member McRae,
Yes.
member Ruth,
Yes.
Chair Olson.
Yes,
Motion passes.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
you're wrong.
All right, next on the agenda is 21 North Main Street for the shed. How are you?
That's one of the treasurer, finance officer for American Legion Post.
Nice to meet you, Lou.
Steve can come up. Steve can come up.
Representing post here today is our new the commander, David Lowry.
Nice to meet you.
And God's back, our post historian. So we've not know how long we've been in this building, but we've been in Pittsburgh since 1920. We were one of the earliest posts established after the American Legion was established. We were formed here in Pittsburgh, in a dry town, and we've been a dry post ever since. Well,
Congrats.
we have to thank the village that they supported us very well all these years, so we're very thankful for
Did the village take care of the water issue you guys have downstairs?
that. Yes.
Good.
So, yes, I'm doing it. Yes, they all do once in a while. We're looking to get permission to approval to remove an existing shed and replace it with a new shed. The existing shed was constructed around 2014 as an Eagle Scout project. it's outlived its useful life, both in condition as well as purpose. So right now it's just sitting, 2x4 sitting on a slab exposed to the elements. We had no oversight in that construction, but it was an Eagle Scout project, you know how
Yeah.
those things sometimes go.
Yeah.
So, the proposed new shed, was sold by Backyard Outfitters, and it would be built by the Mennonite community located in Hemlock, so. The new shed is 12x16. And it will be placed on the existing slab, which is large enough to accommodate it. It's 2 feet wider than the current 10x16 shed. Reason for that is to accommodate the electrical installing in there, which is about wall to door. About that 2 feet. So, and the village has agreed in discussion with the mayor to assist us with the removing of the existing shed and properly disposing of the structural material. We'll put a dumpster out there and we'll figure out how to get it apart. So we constructed the work and with asphalt and shingle. We do a uniform dark green color so that it does not stand out or copy the village building. Earlier this evening, Jim was commenting on seeing a very nice dark gray shed, which you kind of represent the Navy's battleship gray. They wouldn't conflict with the existing historical structure here on the. So, and I think the one thing that's slightly different from what you saw there, we show a window in the front and a very small window at the top. That costs us more than just putting a standard window there. The art shutters, but just a window midsection between the center on that wall, between the door on the right and the left. Wall.
So you are gonna have this transom window?
No, I'm taking that transom window out and just putting in a standard, the window that comes with the shed. Will be another different box behind.
Okay, but it'll be something more represented in this diagram?
Yes,
Okay.
there'll be more shoulders on it, anything like that. The other one will be monochromatic. Color. We have a removal. The installation of the new plan, we'll arrange for storage of all this and stuff. There's no recordings to do, but the village also agreed to assist with the shed, we said that. And prior to the delivery, the contractor will come and conduct a site visit. And then upon delivery, they will walk the pre-built shed in from the street and place it and level it on the existing concrete pad. So we're not changing concrete pads. If we're moving the old and putting in the new. Any questions? That's all that I have.
We're going to also, it's right now sitting on 2x4, we're gonna put some 4x4s under it to elongate the.
Okay.
Then right from the bottom up, and we'll have a correspondingly higher ramp,
Okay.
which, 2 inches.
Yeah.
It will come in, those, the building will put those, that's doors on the shed, so it comes in on the skids. 2 outside skids and 3 interior skids.
What'll be on the outside? What's on the outside? It's not the vinyl siding.
No,
It's the other.
it's not the T111, they call it another material, but it's.
I think they called it the LP.
Yeah.
LP smart panel. Is that wood, Steve?
It is a composite.
Okay.
It has, vertical and well. It looks like those vertical panels.
Yeah. Yeah, the only question I had was in this, in the drawing, I guess there's 2 questions. One, it says the front, it's labeled without a door. Are you gonna have that man door facing the parking lot, which is technically what they call the back? Or is that man door gonna be facing
No,
west
that kitchen door will be facing.
this way?
Right.
That's what I expected, because then the golf cart door would be on that side of it. So that'll be the front, which is no big deal. And this is,
They're gonna give us access that we didn't have before. We have to open the big doors and sometimes take the golf cart out to get inside.
mhm.
Remember that something.
And then no transom window, but there will be a window
Yeah.
to the left of the golf cart door.
So much.
Yeah, to the left the golf cart door.
Okay. No window, no other window anywhere?
No,
Okay. And then the last question I have is the roof overhang represented in the diagrams. It looks like there isn't much of an overhang.
you know, the
Represented.
overhang, golf course is measured, angles is, you know, the roof overhang, it's 12 foot there.
Yeah,
Roof overhang.
Okay.
The walls are inside that.
Yeah.
It's line, it shows.
it does. It says a drip edge on all roofs for a leak-free quality finish. I just want to make sure that there'd be an overhang that you would to match either what was there or what you would normally see on a shed or barn of
I
sorts.
think it'll have more overhang than this one.
Okay.
I have a question about this solar panel. This is already.
Yeah, it is on it right now. And then you guys are gonna reuse it? The solar panel Robbie is asking about?
Yes, intend to put it back on, but, there was some discussion, we haven't had it with the village about tapping into the electric that's already existing out there at the lights, bring it into the shed.
Yeah,
We use that to, not for lighting, but we could, but we use it to keep a charger going, to keep the battery of the golf cart charged.
Triple charge.
And
Yeah.
the solar panel does that very well.
I guess it just surprises me that solar panel was.
Yeah, now it's
Strange.
Yeah.
This would be an issue, because we can fix it, but right now, that solar panel is mounted with that ASIC material, which is a composite plastic, I'll call it. And that is fixed to that, which is very durable. You could replace it with cedar if that was required.
Is this something where if it was like on the back of the roof, would that get enough sun to actually charge it? So it wouldn't be as visible, or is that?
Well, it has to be on that side, visible side of the building because of the way the sun comes in. I don't think it could be on the front, those garbage cans placed in front of the shed and on that side of the shed. I think that's, for recycle. I know it's responsible for those, I guess we share it, right?
We do.
Yeah. Yeah, the question was asked was, if we move or do we take the shed and dust, and the answer is no.
well, hopefully you guys can either tap into the electricity, but I guess if not, then you'll just put the solar panel back on.
Yeah, that was.
Okay.
Hopefully we can do that.
Okay. Steve has a question, Steve?
Yeah, I didn't know, would the board have to approve the demo of the old shed? Yeah.
Yes.
But keep on.
Yes. Yeah, and as far as the demolition of the shed goes, like you said, it was 2014 Eagle Scout project. I don't think it's a historically contributing feature to this property, whereas it would need to be preserved and restored rather than replaced. So, that's my take on the demolition of the barn, or excuse me, of the existing shed.
Have you taken a look at the shed?
No, not, under review, yes, but I've never been in it, or as far as,
The historical.
yeah.
Are we voting? Should I second the motion to this?
Well, I don't think anyone's made one motion, so if you want to,
I would make a motion to approve the demolition of the existing shed.
Second,
thank you.
Member McRae,
Yes.
member Root,
yes.
member Stevenson. Yes. Chair Olson,
Yes,
motion passes.
okay, and then do we have any other questions on the new shed?
Only the composition of the window, we didn't discuss that.
Okay,
That there will be a new window, but we don't know what kind of window it is.
let's see if we can think of anything.
We know what the requirement is, we know we can't have any vinyl on it whatsoever with plastic. So that's our requirement to the vendor, and we'll hold them to that.
Okay.
So, when Steve, I'm sure the people in my last next, we have a vinyl.
So could we approve it with the, clarification that this will be a wood window with, aluminum cladding, which is our normal,
Yeah.
the normal type of window that we put.
Yeah, we could work something like that. Just seeing if it's on here anywhere. It says window black. It doesn't say anything. That's probably that's the 30 inches wide by 10 inches tall. Transom window.
Yeah, I think the other windows are,
Yeah, like this one, it's. Can't really tell what it is in this picture, and then this one is just a drawing of it.
yeah, because this particular. When we're probably looking at it from, the builder of the street built. They build vinyl trucks,
Mhm.
but that dealership works with backyard outfitters. To do the wooden sheds,
Wait, can I see what you're looking at?
yes. Yeah, this is kind of a rough. This is rough vinyl thing, the windows we're talking about, look something like that.
Okay,
So this is a 10 by 16, so that's about the size of the window without the shutters.
okay. And that's what you're kind of going for?
Yes,
Okay, so should we just call it a 4/4 double hung window?
yes.
I think so too.
Do we have any idea with that solar panel, you said it was to charge the golf cart? Do we know how much? I think how to ask this, like how much power we actually need from that? This just looks, like, I'm wondering if it's.
Yeah, it's generates about 14 volts,
Okay,
it's,
Yeah.
it's suited specifically for doing the purpose that we're using it for.
yeah,
Boat batteries or.
I'm just wondering if it might be possible to find, these I think are relatively cheap, this kind of,
Yeah, I think they probably paid maybe 20 some odd dollars for that panel, and they probably spent more on the controller inside the buildings.
yeah. I'm just wondering if we can find something that looks less, obtrusive, like, like ones that they have like for the ring cameras where you just put it a little bit on.
Like a little smaller one.
Yeah, I want something that would be relatively cheap, but this is just so,
Yeah.
it's really.
I understand what you're saying. We can definitely look into see if we can source something else. That's, I think, why probably hooking into electricity would be a better approach to it. But,
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, otherwise, I think the
That
shuttle
was
is very
involved
nice.
in the DPW.
Yeah.
and
Okay. Any other questions?
No.
All right, then I'll make a motion to approve the application as presented with the following considerations that the transom window shown is being replaced by a 4x4, which is gonna be 4/4 double hung wooden window to the left of the golf cart door entry. And that everything else within the application with the LP Smart panel siding, the paint color is up to your guys' discretion. And the roofing material is accurate to what we would like to see, as well as the roof overhang will be substantial and not as shown in those 3D representations.
Yes.
Yep. And would you miss anything?
I think you've got it.
Okay. Oh, and if you want the solar panel as well, a replacement.
Yeah.
Would be acceptable, a smaller replacement to charge a similar amount of power would be acceptable.
Okay.
Second.
And the kind of like things like on flag poles or light poles.
Yeah.
Member Stevenson,
Yes.
member McRae,
Yes,
member Root,
Yes.
member Olson.
Yes. Yes,
Motion passes.
perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks.
More civil.
All right, the next up, we have 9 Elmbrook. Hi, how are you? Good. Always. What time is it? That's not too
You're
bad.
doing amazing.
Good. 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 So, you're Maria, correct?
Yes.
Nice to meet you. You were here a few years ago for the Adore, right?
Sure.
Nice. Do you want to tell us about what you want to do now?
That's where the construction had been installed in it.
Okay.
Well, but it was going to fit it because of the 5 inch.
Oh my gosh, 5 inches?
Really?
Yeah. Measure twice, cut once, right, Steve?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, so this door just has stayed in place, the original door.
Okay, so this wasn't the door that we replaced like 2 or 3 years ago. Okay,
And now that changed.
okay,
But yeah, I still have that door. I considered adding 5 inches to it and putting it in,
mhm,
but I was literally putting on the stairs and like this, because that's when suddenly I had this idea, what if I just took out these 4 panels and made them flex?
mhm.
And then that would give me the light that I so desperately like in this area. And from the street, the view in to see that beautiful staircase and chandelier would just be lovely, I think.
Yeah. No, that's good to know, because I was like, I think this is the door that she put in and now she wants to edit it, so I was. And then I was going back and looking at the older pictures and it looks like that's this door still there from the older ones.
Research and all over. And
Mhm.
stuff, and this is the one that I settled on that would be most meaningful to me, because I'd be able to keep all the original hardware. Everything would stay exactly the same.
Yeah,
And as you can see, there's a crack through one of the panels that I want to replace glass anyway. So, and you can see light through that.
yeah,
it does, stylistically, it does make sense because of the lights on either side. You know, so that I see light all the way across, yeah, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the same excitement I feel over it, isn't it? Feel like you get so excited about it.
No, I understand.
yeah, so it's definitely an interesting application. And I'm just trying to understand if anybody, if this is like historically accurate, like is anybody done this? Are there examples out there that would like, that would say, oh yeah, that's what you would know you could do to this door style? Because there's so many doors with lights, excuse me, window panes that provide light into your home. But on this 6-panel wooden door, are there examples of that? And I couldn't really find any, and I'm wondering like, is this the best option to get you the light that you really want? Because our board, especially over the last few years, is really trying to become more, let's get to where the applicant wants to be. Not like, this is what we do and that's what you have to do. So I'm trying to find out like what would be the most correct thing to do with this door. And I was like, is there either another door that you could use with windows, or do we want to edit this door? So I don't know, I want to hear what everyone else has to say
I
and
can,
see if it's
I
something.
have never seen this done before, to take a wooden panel out and replace it with glass. However, from a sustainability standpoint, this is a good solid wood door. And like you say, you can maintain all of the hardware, the existing hardware that came, I assume this is original to the house.
100%.
There, and so all she's doing is replacing these 4 panels with glass, which is another sustainable material.
Yeah,
And so even though it's somewhat unusual, I think in this instance, I think it will look harmonious with the similar shaped lights on the other side.
What was approved? What door?
It was a 9 light door.
Yeah, and I think it went like 2/3 down. The 9 lights, right? It went like,
I think it's 5 inches longer on the bottom, so.
okay, so now 3/5 or yeah, 3/5 of the way down, yeah.
But yes, it didn't, those 9 lights did not line up with the adjacent lighting like you were illustrating what happened with changing this door. And you know, sometimes it's not, did anybody ever do it before, but is there any reason why we can't do it?
Yeah,
Like, is there anything that says you absolutely cannot do that to this door?
yeah,
That's the flip side of it, where
I
I'm
mean,
trying to do research to say,
yeah,
is there anything that says, and I couldn't find it, said I could not.
yeah.
Otherwise, I
Let's see
wouldn't have
what
wanted
it
to waste your time.
No, and we don't wanna waste your time either. Let's see where the door is. 58. So this is our design standards, our design guidelines that we use, which are on the website. So like if I ever have the questions that we're kind of facing right now, you can go to it, section 5, rehabilitation standards for historic buildings, and the subsection is doors. And
I directed you to the website for that, yeah.
And I did look that up.
so it says doors and entrances are key architectural features contributing to the character of most buildings' facades. Doors are often one of the most reliable indicators of a home's age and architectural style. Kind of goes on to say a few other things, and then it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bullet points to avoid. Introducing or removing or changing the location of the door, replacing existing doors with the retail stock doors, which would be more like going to Home Depot and buying, something. Locking up or removing transoms or side lights, which again, we wouldn't want to do. And that's not what we're looking to do. But then the 4th bullet point is replacing, resizing, or rearranging such architectural features as pilasters, corner blocks, panels, transom buttons, or side lights. And that's where I was like, all right, so is this something that we're supposed to take into consideration to avoid? And then the last one is replacing traditional screen doors with stamped aluminum panel. And that's more for the outside.
Good pointing question about that. I'm not resizing anything. I'm keeping them exactly the same size.
Yeah.
And what you were reading, that said resizing or changing.
It says replacing, resizing, or rearranging such
And then
architectural features. Yeah.
Doing that structurally to the door.
Mhm.
Structurally, the door will remain the same except for where there's what they'll be flat.
They'll be glass. Yeah. Yeah.
Could I add
Absolutely.
my commentary? I did a little reading on this, and in the building design standards on the page you're looking at, there is a line that says replacement doors should have an appropriate panel and light arrangement for that period.
Mhm.
So I went out looking, and at the time, so 1930, your house is a 1930 colonial revival,
Yeah.
right? And looking at Morgan Woodwork has a whole catalog of different doors that they sold in 1930, including ones that look very much like your original doors. And then they also sell options that have little lights up in the top panels. And there is some commentary about they can customize and replace.
See that? Or you get one of the applicants up. This is from that book right there.
That's from Morgan Doors catalog that I found online.
Cool.
From 1930.
Cool.
Love that. It was,
Fine.
yeah. So it seems relevant. I couldn't find one that had all 4 panels replaced, but they do it with 2 quite commonly. And I do find that in this book, A Field Guide to American Residential Doors as well. Which, is this okay to refer to other sources?
I was trying to figure out, I'm sorry. Well, I was gonna say, I actually have a question for the other members of the board, just as the board members, I don't know the answer.
Yeah.
But I think one thing to possibly take into consideration too is just with this damage in the door. She's not just cosmetically upgrading things, like this is a giant crack, it needs to be fixed.
Yeah.
So if she doesn't do glass, can you even put wood in there, something that big structurally that would still be a safe, like that looks like it would just pop out. Like if you were to replace just,
So like what her options would be for repairing this?
yeah, like if we did say no to glass.
Yeah, you would do some sort of restoration, so it could be like a wood-based glue, or like you could work a bunch of sand, and you would do like a restoration project on it, to restore it.
You have to physically rip the panel out, put a new one in.
And then put in the new quarter round around it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've actually done what she's asking to do before I go.
with glass,
Glass, yes. Pull the inside trim off and then
pull the trim off,
Glass.
panels pop out,
Panels
put glass in,
pop out,
put the trim
put
back.
glass. Yeah. I mean, I will say the gentleman she's using for the doors.
Yeah,
And to Jim's point that there were many styles of wood and glass doors in 1930. A lot of variation.
Does that say that they can cut for the customized?
I did find a reference, I don't have it printed out though. I did find a reference that said they could customize whatever arrangement of panels wanted. Or add windows, different panels.
And what she's doing is figure out a way to use the existing original door.
Yeah.
right.
And make it more.
No, and I love that. I love,
Even
I
the
feel like
doorknob,
that, yeah,
it's all,
yeah.
I'm going to have all of that stripped of all the paint and totally brought back to the original model.
Yeah,
Seems to be a consideration is that she does have the option of going to an entirely different door that was approved. She'd have to come back in for an approval of that door, but it'd be very difficult to deny it because it's already been approved. And so the question is whether or not this is a better option and more in line with the history of the house than a new door that's got all the front. So
Yeah.
I would argue yes, because it's the original door.
yeah,
But the other reality is, it is a reversible feature of something that we chose.
exactly. It's still the original door. They can reverse it and put the panels back.
So keep the panels.
No, those panels are damaged, you just get new ones and paint them. Yeah,
I'm perfectly
Yeah.
happy to promise and swear to you that I will keep the 3 panels.
no, you don't have to do that. You know.
Technically, he's done. 3 roll and 2 pieces.
Yeah. Yeah.
What were you thinking for the actual glass? Like, did you have anything other than single pane, clear?
We're doing tempered glass,
So is it gonna be completely,
completely clear window glass, no etching, no details, just flat glass.
That will look best.
To match the glass on others. And be more thermal and
Cool.
strong.
I don't have any more questions.
better than a crack?
Thank you. I don't have any more questions.
Motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Member Stevenson,
Yes.
member McRae,
Yes.
member Ruth,
Yes.
Chair Olson,
Yes.
motion passes.
I also fully restored the milk jar back in my house. And it was just sealed off from the previous owner. So my handyman was actually able to get full access inside. It doesn't open up into the kitchen, but we restored it all. And I had the same gentleman in this door, restore the whole milk door and all the hardware.
Nice.
So now it's operational, and my grandchildren went to Pittsburgh Dairy and got the glass milk bottles and they drank the milk. And then we put it in there, we cleaned them, put it in there, so I thought they opened it, and there's milk bottles, oh, they will be like real man dogs, the milk man.
Yeah.
And also, John H. Bailey, along with, Honeywell Golf Mower, is restoring all 28 original shutters on my house.
Oh my
With all
God.
the original hinges and shutter locks, so
Oh,
it's all
thank
going back on.
Wow.
So, and I have already had all my screens restored and rescreened, all my storm windows have all been restored, all the wood has all been restored out of that, so I'm committed to this.
Absolutely. No, you've done a great job. I walk my twins past your house like every night. They do a good job with that mess. Yeah. But they like the creek.
Anytime, I'd love to get towards and share it.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
thank you so much.
Bye-bye. Follow up with Steve and you'll get your CFA. If you need building payment.
Okay, thank you. Anything to learn?
Thank you. Okay, so 32 South Main Street is tabled to September.
Correct.
Okay, then we'll do 5 State Street for signage. How you doing? Good to see ya.
Is everyone tonight?
Good.
Here's what they're looking at.
Yeah, I'm here representing the business owner, Don Torberta, and building owner, Zach Phillips, and we sign at State Street, gonna be an Irish pub. And they have submitted the proper pictures. You get any questions, I'm open.
So 48 square feet is more than 30.
Yeah, so this, I'll talk on that. Okay. There was, someone had previously tried to, do something with this building a few years back.
Okay.
And we had a long conversation on what that steel, is it steel? Is it a steel beam that goes across the front of the building? It's wood? Okay, it's wood. We wanted to define if the signage that's gonna go on that is the entire dimension of it. Do you remember this, Steve?
Yeah,
And we were like, no, it's a character defining feature of the building. But the sign itself really is much smaller than that. So I think what Jim's trying to understand, as well as me, when I saw that it's gonna be 48. Wait, how big is it? 48 square feet? 48.
Well,
That's
actually,
48
just
feet.
take the lettering, it's 24 by 2.
So
So we need to try and make sure that we're not taking the entire character defining feature of that wood beam as the signage square footage. We need to understand that, but then it's like, all right, if you're, is this gold trim
no,
like painted?
no.
That's not part of the sign, right? Then it's
That's
like,
just black. So it's only Angus Irish pump, which is in here, it's 24 feet. By. Correct, 24 inches,
yeah,
2 feet.
24 feet by 2 feet, so yeah, 48, yeah.
Mm.
So it's still large. We have to look at this and understand if it is,
Yes,
yeah.
yeah.
Based on the code.
In the code, well, I guess it's village code and 168B, it says, in no case shall it be greater than 30 square feet.
That 2 feet is measured from above that line to below that line, or even equal to that line. The letters are shorter than those lines, so it's not 2 feet. I don't know what it is.
You're correct. The black piece of wood going across the front is what's 2 feet.
Okay, so then, how big are the letters?
Well,
Then you're good. Excellent.
Oh, 24, because it seems proportional when you look at the photo.
yeah.
12 inches by 24 feet is what the sign's gonna be.
48 by, or 48 by 1. No, 24 by 1. I apologize.
That's correct. 24 by 1.
It does not look bigger than the Starlight property.
No, not at all.
No.
No,
Yeah, but we just wanted to find it. I
No,
think
I
that's what
think-
we're trying to get to too. But
And then this black metal. plate
I think it's
turned
actually
into-
wood. Sorry, I said it was,
Oh.
I said it was. I said it was metal, and it's definitely would not be removable. That's character defining feature of that building.
It's all wood.
It's all wood, yeah. See, it's been there. Go back to that picture.
Yes, yes.
It's
So
always been
what
there.
is white here would be just beads in the black,
Yeah, I think it's gray right now.
gray, white. All right,
Um,
I would say the letters can be no more than 16 inches tall. That would keep it within under the 30. Okay.
mhm.
Okay. Okay, so all we're doing is considering the actual signage of Angus Irish Pub. We're not doing anything with the other signs in the windows.
No,
No, we're not doing anything with the lighting fixtures.
no, the four lighting fixtures are already there.
What about the two on the side of the doors? Okay, we're not doing anything with that. If you did want those, I don't know if they're there or not.
I gotta come back.
You'll have to come back for
You
that.
guys didn't have to, do another part of this, but.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay. Well then I'll make a motion to approve, oh, wait, does anyone else have any questions? I'm sorry.
No, that was my only question.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the signage as presented so that the lettering is no larger than 16 inches tall and 24 feet wide, centered over the two bay door in the front.
Okay, Melissa?
McRae.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, you seconded?
Yes.
Thank you. Member Stevenson? Yes. Member McRae?
Yes.
Member Ruth?
Yes.
Chair Olson?
Yes,
Motion passes.
awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
This looks great.
Yeah, good luck.
Appreciate it.
Is there, that's actually good for you, right?
No, it's a good
All right, so we need to do finding the facts. All right,
You want to explain to member Stevenson what findings of fact?
yeah, so after each application, we need to do what's called findings of fact. So it's not Dan's opinion. It's not Rabbia's opinion. It's not what I like, or it's not what we think would look good, stuff like that. It is like what Jim has written down from code, from design guidelines, from evidence in our binders and in Jeff's book of code and law that say this is the facts, this is why. Like so what we do on these meetings where there's 9 agenda items, I, as chair, just do them at the end. Just to keep the meeting going on, because this is gonna take like 5 to 6, 7 minutes, and it's just, everyone hates sitting there while we go through and do findings of facts. And Alexandra used to have to handwrite them down. As findings of facts, which took a long time, but now we do the AI voice recording, so. We'll go through and state all of the facts, and we kind of do them as a group. In your binder, if you want, you can always go through, and I believe it is.
Okay.
Review process. It's not a review process. It's in here how to build the findings of facts. Might be all the way, yeah. It might be all the way. Anyways, it'll be in there and it'll show you how to like kind of build through findings of facts. But we do it at the end. So like for 18 State Street, findings of facts are that all signages meet the village design guidelines for sizing and verbiage. So like, this is outside of findings of facts, but basically it doesn't say like Canandaigua Bank, welcome to Pittsburgh, do all your banking here, low APR. You know, it doesn't have all of that on it. It just says Canandaigua National Bank. So it meets the design guidelines as well as signage and style. Do we want to add anything to that?
There's no internally lit signs being
Yep.
added.
No internally lit signs.
Appearance of depth is created by the signage that's gonna go on the front,
Mhm.
which is good.
The material.
Code.
Was it full wood? I'm trying to remember.
Well, so material with signage was mostly the backlit signage. The wood is great. That's usually preferred, especially since that's what's there and what that has been there on previous iterations of their bank sign. But you can do aluminum signs. I think there's an acrylic material that's on there that would be okay too, to kind of give it depth. Oh yeah, that's all on there, yeah. Now 66 Monroe Ave for the water feature, that's a tough one to do findings of facts. In fact, no pun intended. Findings of facts that it meets any sort of design guidelines for hardscapes as well as sizing and scale. For a project.
And
Jeff, if you have anything to add on that one.
Not affecting any architecture, any significant contributing structure on the site.
that the applicant is pursuing all the required applications with the
With the canal
necessary
court.
parties.
Yeah.
I couldn't find it in the code, it was like.
And it's reversible. 92 South Main Street, the demolition was approved because the feature being demolished was not a contributing factor to the historical structure. 1 Grove Street was tabled, based on, now we don't have to do it, it's tabled. 21 North Main Street for the shed. The shed was, made out of the correct material. The size and scale of the shed is within our village design guidelines, the material as well. The shed needs to be replaced. It's not a historically contributing shed, so demolition was approved. We want to add anything to that one?
They're gonna use a non-vinyl window.
Yep. 9 Elmbrook Drive for the door panels. We are salvaging the original door to 9 Elmbrook. Replacing 4 of the 6 panels, the wood panels with glass to achieve what the applicant wants with more light shown into the front of her house, into her foyer. And we are, instead of repairing the door with wood, we'll repair it with glass, which is an approved door material.
Historically consistent.
Historically consistent, yeah.
This door could have been created this way at the time of construction. And she is not putting in a modern door for which she received approval, so she's repairing the old original door.
Thank you. 32 South Main was tabled and 5 State Street is signage. The sign meets the village design guidelines in design, scale, and verbiage. And that sign, the letterings shall not be larger than 16 inches tall. We have to work that in because I think there was a little ambiguity in what was proposed on the dimensions, so we'll make sure that those aren't too large. Anything else to add to any of them? You covered it? Okay. So next on the agenda, we'll move to our member items and we'll go through some minutes. Rabia is a training thing. The minutes look like this. And it's basically a recap from what Alexandria does on the during the meeting, where it goes through the entire meeting step by step. Call to order. We'll talk about the let's go here. So this one was a solar roof application. It's a brief review of the application, and then it goes into the vote. So who motioned it and how did you vote? And then these are records that.
Oh, okay.
And whenever.
5 years from now, we're going to go back and look at, oh, that's what happened.
Yeah, so it's like a summary, but also our option to review before it becomes. Like what Jeff said, viewable for the public. And you can add stuff to these at later dates. And then at the next meeting, so this is the June meeting, we're reviewing it. Let's see if we can. I don't even know if we can. Oh, yeah, we can. Yeah, there's 3 of us here. 1, 2, 3. All right, perfect.
So there's just procedurally, if you weren't at that meeting, but you're here while we're approving them, just abstain when I call the vote.
Okay, so we have June and July minutes to review. And for the July one, the three of us were there as well, so.
And I need to remove acting chairperson. I don't know why that says that twice, but I will do that for listing present board members.
Where's that?
Where it says you, the chairperson.
Acting. Okay. That's okay, I don't care about.
You are the chairperson.
I don't care. Um. Did anyone have any questions on this one? Okay.
Back, looks a little.
She was here today, but she asked to be tabled because we weren't gonna have five.
She checked in. She's been checking in faithfully, but she knows how important it is for a full board.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve the June 15th, 2026 meeting minutes.
Second,
Member Root,
yes.
member McRae,
Yes.
member Stevenson,
Same.
Chair Olson,
Yes.
motion passes.
Okay, then we'll take a look at the July meeting minutes. And there's a lot of them. Jackson. Go ahead.
Have you seen the beautiful garage on Monroe Avenue that's been built, that we approved, the two?
Oh, I drive past all the time, I haven't walked by it.
It looked so good.
Good. Actually, you know what, I did see the cedar shingles and they looked great.
The
You
whole,
got, I'm glad
the
that,
whole stepped back second bay is such a great design.
good, I think that'll look
Really
really
love the
nice.
story. This is
Yeah.
the original garage, this is the addition.
I wonder if they're gonna paint it or stain it or what, or leave it as is.
I don't know, but it's a great model for this 14 Eastview Terrace.
Oh, yeah,
Was that the one?
no, that was, you're thinking of maybe the people at, next to St. Louis Circle.
Oh, yeah, that.
Yeah. 14 Eastview Terrace, they're doing the whole new garage and the addition off the back of their house, about where Maria lives. That's Homebrook and then Eastview Terrace comes into it.
Oh, okay.
Any questions on the August, excuse me, on the July 20th meeting minutes?
None,
Well,
I'll make a motion to approve them.
second,
Member McRae,
yes.
member Stevenson,
Abstain.
member Root,
yes.
Chair Olson,
Yes.
motion passes.
Okay. Next up, we have the Certified Local Governance Conference recap by member McRae.
Okay, I'll try to keep this brief.
And thank you for doing this meeting, because I think you tried to do it in July, and I think you tried to do it in June. So thank you for doing it this meeting.
So it was a real alphabet soup overall. I learned so much about all these different organizations that come together to make all of this preservation possible. Yeah. The National Alliance of Historic Preservation communities did a great talk when we first got there about the importance of reviewing guidelines and standards. And they made the important point that the 1970s were 50 years ago. And so even though, we try to really hold tightly to our guidelines. Sometimes they require review.
Mhm.
New materials, new technologies become available. And so we need to continually, like periodically review our guidelines and standards and make sure that they still apply.
Mhm.
Like an example would be, metal roofs. Before we always just looked at standing seam versus, the kind of farm style. But now there are metal shingles available
Mhm.
that could be an option in the village as an alternative to, asphalt shingles. And so that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it's important to think about too, when we have neighborhoods that are post-war. When you say, okay, this is a post-war, sometimes the applicant says it's a post-war house. And my house isn't that historic, but to your fact, the seventies were 50 years ago,
Mm,
and in another 50 years. That those homes will be 100 years old,
But,
and they need to be preserved
right,
to that time period specifically, and it starts with. Not only us for this board, but also with educating them, saying. It's not just preserving the oldest homes in the village or anything like that, but your homes too need to be preserved. Because they will be 100 years old.
like that whole Hazelhurst type neighborhood, I don't know.
Yeah,
the name of it.
Courtney Circle,
Circle, yes, that's just all post-war.
Yeah.
And so, yes. So that was a very important thing that came up that we looked at. Also, HPB, violations, this idea of demolition by neglect. Where some people just don't maintain their property and they just let it deteriorate to the point where it can't be preserved anymore.
yeah,
And things you can do, there are things you can do to try to prevent this.
is there like funding for those individuals, or what do you mean by things you can do?
I have C notes on excuses and enforcement.
Yeah.
So, we have, I brought some paperwork that I can.
Yeah, I can distribute to the board digitally.
Demolition day ordinances and, you can do, just even for one day to prevent somebody from tearing something down if they're hell bent on doing it. And then, another excellent sheet that even has like a. What do you call it?
Flow chart.
A flow chart, right?
Yeah,
On violations and enforcement in locally designated historic districts, which I found very interesting.
yeah. There's not a lot that comes to mind, but there are some in the village that there are some, homes that might need a little work. Or a lot of work.
It doesn't
And
necessarily,
that's
luckily,
too much.
it doesn't apply to us very much, but.
Yeah, but
it
I
was
can
an
think of some.
interesting-
Yeah,
The point is, it was a very interesting meeting to attend,
Mhm.
a session to attend. Yeah, ideas about non-compliance. I guess other people are, struggle with this. Whereas we have people like this woman who replaced all of her shutters and screens. That's so expensive. And we encounter this every month. Wonderful applications to just improve our village. We
Yeah.
hardly ever have to do this kind of thing, but other communities do. So I also went to a session on climate responsible strategies for historic buildings, which didn't really apply to us very much. But they said there was some financing available for energy retrofits on buildings that wanted to pursue that. Then I went to another meeting on geothermal HVAC for historic properties. And this one was a little bit more applicable in that, like, one of my neighbors put in a geothermal, because they have these very small drills now, where they weren't available several years ago. Now they have residential drills available.
Interesting.
For certain properties where it applies. And we do have properties in the village with a large enough lawn that would allow for a geothermal.
Yeah.
If they wanted it.
I just wanted to add too that this board actually hasn't seen those, but Steve sees them, so I don't know at what point they come to this board, but we have had permits already for geothermal.
Nice. Yeah, it's probably not within our purview. I mean, either if you're going straight down. Or if you're doing the snake version, that's like 6 feet deep or whatever. It probably wouldn't, but it's good to know that there are those options in historic
And
preservation.
one of the big upsides is that it's invisible.
Exactly, rather than some of the, like, those Mitsubishi, or even any sort of HVAC that's on the outside of the house.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, anything.
The mini split type things, you know,
Yeah.
yeah.
Or like my house, it's all the
And
two big
another,
windows
that also,
during the summer.
the geothermal, so it's invisible, it's also silent.
Mhm.
You can't hear it, so it really preserves the historic feel of a property, where there's not a lot of pipes or machinery around. No ducts, no brakes, no flames, no fossil fuels, no visible equipment. And over time, the operational costs are much less than other forms of heating and cooling. There was one project they talked about that was over 10 years old, and they never had any problems with recreation. And there's also possible grant funding through NYSERDA. And then we had a really great keynote speech by Dr. Gretchen Soren from SUNY Oneonta, and who talked about preserving the social history as well as the build history of our communities. I thought it was really great. Did you enjoy that one, Jen?
Yeah, that was good. Very good. So I think there was talk about, there might be things like maybe like where they did the underground railroad house up on Monroe. Right, that big historical plaque up there, it was kind of
Right.
memorializing something that was from a period.
And we just in a town meeting recently, they talked about we're going to add a statue of Frederick Douglass who spoke right here in our village. And that makes any connection with that new signage about the Underground Railroad. So it helps to kind of build a story of our history here.
Love it.
And that's it.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
It was a very excellent conference. I felt like I learned a lot. It was really valuable.
Mhm.
So that conference is annual, and it's open to all board members. If it comes around again, I make sure to share all of that with you guys if you want to make an attendance. It was
I
fun.
think it's in Poughkeepsie this year.
Oh, I don't know where
That's
at.
very fun.
That's-
Yeah, you guys from Cooperstown?
Yeah.
It's about an hour and a half further. So it's doable.
Yeah, yeah.
It would be great training if you had the
Yeah.
time and availability to go.
Is Poughkeepsie New York City?
It is, it's about an hour north of the city.
I have a almost 17-year-old who's looking at SUNY New Paltz, so I'm driving out there more than I want, so.
Yeah.
But thank you everyone
But
for
I could be
being
wrong.
here training
Could be wrong.
today. I'm sorry if that wasn't as exhilarating, but
No, that's, it's
it
preservation.
is what it
That's-
is.
I don't know how I would go about reviewing our guidelines, but I think it would be a good exercise. I know we're all busy and everything, but
Yeah,
to make sure they're up to date.
I think at a minimum, we could swap out the words APRB for HPB.
that would go.
Talk to your liaison. It's a good place to start.
Okay. All right, well, I think that's it for tonight's meeting. I'll make a motion to close the meeting.
Second motion?
Member Ruth? You close?
Yes.
Please.
Yeah.
Member McGray? Yes. Chair Olson?
Yes.
Motion passes.